We didn't put THC limits in 788. The lack of outdoor grows is a little bit troubling. Again, I know there's a lot of people around the state that intended to grow outdoors medical marijuana, and we intended that certainly under 788. But yeah, it's a little bit, annoying here that we had two board members come in and change major things at the last minute. So,
What do you think's what's next?
what's next? So the great thing is we at least now have a known program, right? So regardless of whether we all love it or hate it, we now have structure to our framework that we put out under 788. So this gives definition to business people, to people who are wanting to come in and really open businesses. So now they know what to expect, and now a lot of the unknowns are gone.
Do you think somebody's going to file a suit and challenge the pharmacists or the smokeable?
Boy, I don't. Again, this just happened, so we'll have to process that a little. We'll have to talk to our downstream. And again, Oklahomans for Health, and what we represent, I would say, as a board, is a lens, right? So we focus a lot of people's opinions, and we try to collate those and take those in before we express things. But I can tell you in general, no one's going to particularly like these changes at all in our downstream.
Are you going to challenge them yourself?
Again, that's a hard question to answer right now. So again, the cool thing is we have a program, right? So there's things to celebrate here, absolutely. And the work that's been done by Julie and her team, I think, is outstanding, and that needs to be congratulated, right? So let's not focus on the little negatives that came up. Those things need to be addressed, but let's look at the overall bigger picture here. And the bigger picture is we've got now a regulated medical marijuana program in Oklahoma, and that's something to celebrate. Now, there may still be a few issues, but again, we hopefully have, a platform here and an audience where people will listen to what we have to say.
Chip, I'm sorry I got up to you at the end. You said it was annoying. Did it surprise you? And then do you think that goes contrary to what the people wanted when they voted?
Yeah, absolutely. So to have, two board members come in with already prepared, legal language to put in the regulations, I think is somewhat interesting. Again, to do that against the advice of their general counsel very publicly, I think is also interesting. So,
how much pressure do you think the medical community put on the board today?
a fair bit. Yeah, a fair bit. So, and I'm sure these gentlemen had a lot of phone calls and had a lot of things to deal with. But again, the great thing is, even with a pharmacist on site, even with no smokable marijuana, we now have a program where patients who are suffering can at least get some relief. And that's a big, giant deal. We also have a structure and a framework to begin to build the business aspects around that. And again, that's a big, giant deal. So let's not completely throw the baby out with the bathwater, so to speak. Good things happen. Very good things happen here today.
Do you think voters expected to be able to smoke marijuana when
1,000%, yes, absolutely.
Do you think this gives momentum to those who want recreational medical, or let me rephrase that. Do you think this gives momentum for recreational?
Yeah, that's never really been our issue, recreational. We're here to fight for patients. We're concerned about helping people. So recreational is a completely different aspect. But I would say it's, I know the activist community, they won't be happy about this at all. Not at all. So.
Do you anticipate another statewide vote to allow people to smoke?
No, I think we'll get this worked out. And again, I think this is, it's a blip, right? They'll have another board meeting, they'll have another chance to consider those rules. Again, this is a pretty dynamic situation. But the great thing is we now have framework and structure, right? So where we just had 788 and this umbrella, and the other cool thing is, how much criticism we got about this being a recreational marijuana program. I think anybody who reads those regulations will see very quickly that we support exactly what they put out. And that is a very strong doctor-patient relationship, right? We're very pleased with all that. So there's really good aspects to what's been done here.
So is there a next step for you?
For
Your organization?
Yeah, so Oklahomans for Health will really be about education. I would say after, our first mission is always to protect the law. So fight for the law, get the law in the books, and now protect the law. So we will absolutely be considering everything that happened here and looking at ways that we can continue to protect the law or what we put down. But past that, education. These physicians need to be educated on what we're doing here. We're giving them literally a magic screwdriver into your master regulatory system. Issues of pain, issues of inflammation, cancers. So they need to be taught on how to use that magic screwdriver, and that's very important. So.
Do you feel, kind of like in the aspects of beer where it was stronger in Texas, Do you feel Oklahoma's going to have weak weed?
Yeah, that's, again, if you look at most medical states, THC is what's regulated, right? CBDs are legal, so half of the cannabis plant is completely legal and doesn't need to be regulated. What we're really regulating under 788 is THC. So to put an artificial cap on that is, again, restrictive to a physician, right? You're cutting out part of his medical spectrum that he can deal with. So yeah, I mean, that's not good. If you go to Colorado, if you go to Arizona, if you go to most medical states, you're looking at 15 to 25% THC content. So,
Do you get the sense that the no side is not done fighting you? They're gonna this will be watered down in a few years.
oh, we won't let that happen. I mean, again, if you think about what we've done, I mean, and how cool is this really, that we've done this with no money, no special interest. This is a true we the people thing. So they may fight like heck, but I mean, 57% of us said we want this, and by gosh, we the people are going to have this, and we have it now, which is great, and thanks really to the Oklahoma State Department of Health. So, yeah.
What is your message to the 57% of people who voted for this?
We have a program, and we will be able to help patients. And that is the big umbrella of what we wanted. I think there's a bunch of little things in here that we need to, and again, this pharmacist is an interesting new thing that, I don't really even know how to respond to that right off. That's something out of Senator Yin's 1120 thing. And again, I'm sure it's driven, special interest to some degree. But that's something that we would strongly oppose. That's not necessary. You need a pharmacist to prescribe FDA-regulated medicines, right? That's how it all works. The FDA regulates and basically, gives ability to have a medicine prescribed, and you prescribe it, and a physician recommends it, right? So that's how that system works. Marijuana is outside that system because it's federally illegal. So you have to recommend marijuana, and that's not done by a pharmacist. That can be done. I thought it was brilliant what they came up with, the dispensary manager. In fact, I sent Julie an email about that. I thought that was, a really good idea because that gives another point of control, in a dispensary that needs to be there, and it gives another expert opinion. So,
Will this still generate tax dollars for Oklahoma?
yeah,
The
but
way the policy is set up.
But yes, absolutely. It absolutely will. So it will, the program should pay for itself. That's why we put in the 7% tax, and it should provide enough overage to have a little bit of money, potentially go to schools and drug and alcohol rehab. But, that's not going to be any windfall for the state, and I don't think anybody should really expect that. It's, if you look at our market cap is $100 million, let's just say it's something like New Mexico, which is about $100 million. 7% of that is $7 million. That's not enough money, really. That's enough money to fund the department. That's enough money maybe to have $3 million or so left over for schools. So that's not, a ton of money, right? But now recreational marijuana programs, those are what do generate a lot of money for, schools and things like that.